Hello indie game fan, more awesome indie games from TGS 2022, beginning with Last Command, a shoot 'em up title crossed with Snake that does have pretty nice pixel art, where it is of interest since it comes to us from the developer of Rebi, which is a great Metroidvania, so I'm interested to see what they do with this game. Last Monarch is a pixel art action roguelite where you play as the Demon King and have to protect demon kind, where I always love it when games invert the traditional hero-villain dichotomy with fantastic looking action as well. I have a pair of interesting titles coming up, one of which is Light of the Locked World, an open world RPG with real-time combat, although I wouldn't go so far as to call it an action RPG since I associate that term with Diablo-style games, where this looks ambitious but does have stiff animations. Sorting alphabetically, it was a total coincidence that Magic of Spring appeared right after the previous game, since I then realized that this is from the same developer who somehow is working on two projects at the same time. Similarly, this is an RPG, but does have card-based deck-building combat with great art as well. Monospaced Lovers is a fascinating entry with great art, where it controls like a platformer but has more of a narrative slant, but the action involves you dodging enemy projectiles, looking like a great mix of ideas. Just a short teaser for Project Altheia, a third-person action-adventure game that looks promising, where apparently it's releasing this year. Rainbow Sea is a wonderful isometric pixel art adventure game that is based on the 7 lucky gods of Japanese mythology, where screenshots do indicate that an English language version will be available. RYSTEL is a 2D action platformer that looks alright, where our protagonist is able to switch between different forms that changes the colour of his outfit, and while it is pixel art, I'm not really impressed with the art, especially in the opening seconds of this trailer, since the platform and where you can land on is not obvious. People interested in games have been fascinated with the Japanese language, presumably stemming from days gone by, where there were a whole bunch of Japanese language only titles that never got localized, where, so to speak, is another attempt at getting you immersed in the language, overhearing conversations and reading signs in the world with no prior knowledge required.
Neko da.
Ike. Ko. Kou.
SONOKUNI is a trippy-looking top-down action game that sure reminds me of Hotline Miami, where it is pretty wild to see something like this in 2022, although its planned release is in 2 years. Stars in the Trash is a great looking adventure platformer where you play as a spoiled cat that runs away seeking adventure, where the animation looks awesome and evokes Disney animated movies of the 90s. I talked about developer Cotton Game in yesterday's video, where they are also making a survival title, but where Sunset Hills is more in line with their usual offering, an adventure game that stars a dog, but occurs in a world after a major war, but it does look very pleasant. TERRACOTTA is another fan favourite on this channel, being a pixel art action-adventure title that looks great, but there's something interesting about this game, so watch through the trailer and I'll be back to tell you about it. Did you spot it? While it looks like a Zelda-style title, our protagonist cannot directly attack, and it does look more like a puzzle-focused game, and I'm interested to see how the boss fights will play out.
Well, I've served her for half of my life, one after another. No one, even me, but you people can pass through the abyss. I'm stuck here for eternity. My memory... I see. Number 8490. Your father is a brilliant scientist, and your mother is his assistant. They've made some solid contributions in the company's research program.
However, The arrival of Leviathan Corporation changed everything. There will be no more pain and hunger.
The Dark World Karma is a first-person horror game that looks creepy, being of interest to horror game fans.
The door to heaven will always be open for those who serve.
Now, please answer my questions. Are you aware that you shall pledge your allegiance to the company, both present and in the future? Indeed, you look different. Different from those useless people outside. They just want to get the job done. You'll see me again on the other side, in a different way.
The Devil Within Satgat is an impressive-looking side-scrolling action platformer set in some sort of post-apocalypse where you play as a powerful warrior infected with demonic blood, having to battle monsters and to guide their spirits to the final resting place, where you can absorb the powers of such creatures with very sleek-looking animations as well. The Forest Quartet is an interesting looking puzzle adventure game where you play as the ghost of the lead singer of a band, having to reach out to your other band members as they sort through their grief, or culminating in a final farewell concert and looks quite emotional.
Thank you all for coming and thanks for your patience. Let's give Nina the goodbye she deserves.
There have been quite a number of cozy building titles recently, where the Lilliput Workshop is the latest, a sandbox title where you're building out a town, but the focus seems to be on laying tracks for the train, where I do wonder if there are any objectives in this, but I really like the children's wooden toys texture to the objects in this game. Something little different here in Treehouse Riddle, a game that is actually available right now for purchase on Steam, being a puzzle adventure game with quite a variety, and does seem to be overlooked. We've also seen an increasing number of Chinese titles on Steam, which is great since it adds to the diversity, where the titles do draw from their culture, with Xian, the Cultivation card game being of interest, a digital board game of sorts, where somehow there is combat involved as well, with great art and interesting looking mechanics. Zombie Soup is yet another top-down zombie shooter, but does look alright, with fun action and could be neat. Let's kick off the top 5 with Rogue Command, a title that is riding a mini wave of the resurgence of RTS titles, a genre that had its heyday in the 90s, where it does look like StarCraft crossed with Command & Conquer, but the developers have added roguelike deck building elements with multiple battles per run and a variety of units to choose from, looking pretty awesome.
ユリがテーマの新感覚ダンジョン RPG。 戦闘の鍵を握るのは少女たちの絆。
Witch and Lilies is a turn-based RPG that looks fantastic, with a variety of characters that you can recruit to your party, but I quite like the look, even having a relationship system between your characters and looks interesting.
攻撃で戦闘が有利に。しかしあなたのアドバイスが時には余計なお世話になってしまうことも。キャラメイクであなただけの物語の登場人物を生み出そう。ジョブ、性格、スキル、キャラクターの育て方と組み合わせでパーティーの選択肢は無限大。少女たちの絆を紡ぎ魔女が眠るダンジョンに挑め。
Sea Blip is a pixel art survival crafting game with a pirate theme, where in addition to the farming, mining, woodcutting, fishing and crafting, has exploration and naval combat as well, where I'm so very impressed by the pixel art. The invasion of Toho games on Steam continues with Valkyrie of Phantasm, a 3D aerial combat title that stars all your favorite Toho characters. It does remind me of some Gundam or Dragon Ball titles that I played when I was a kid, but the addition of bullet hell attack patterns and projectiles does add to the chaos.
Chaos.
I have, by proxy, come to know the names of these characters, but it really is interesting to see how Toho games have managed to find a home on Steam. A gritty, grimdark Metroidvania is Rusted Moss, one which has signed with publisher Playism since we last saw this, but the ranged combat looks good and even has a grappling hook, and if you want more indie games to look forward to, watch part 1 of TGS coverage here.